Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ask an Atheist. I hope everyone is doing well. I just finished dinner, so I am so stuffed. My girlfriend was kind enough to make me a delicious steak dinner. I am very fortunate and very pumped. I am still looking for more people to interview. So if you have any suggestions, especially my Patreons, anyone you want me to interview, reach out, send me a DM, make a comment on my YouTube channel, whatever you want to do to get in touch with me, do it so we can get more interviews lined up. Anyways, without further ado, I'd like to bring on for the first time on YFNA, Stacie Grahn. Stacie, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I said your last name right?
you said it perfectly. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So getting started, how
Mhm.
long have you been an atheist for, or are you a cradle atheist?
I am not a cradle atheist. I have been an atheist for a little over 3 years. So I,
Ooh, so you're a
I'm a
baby
I'm
atheist.
a baby atheist. I'm not a cradle atheist, but I'm a baby atheist. They're not synonyms.
No.
No. So yeah, I've been an atheist since technically December of 2021. That's when I first said the words, "I do not believe in God."
Oh,
Very
wow, you have it down to a
scary.
date.
Yeah, I do. It was like 10 days before, no, 9 days before Christmas. It was very, very soon before Christmas. So that was a weird Christmas. But yeah, it was 2021. And then you asked me before the show, when did you first get started on YouTube? And it was only like 4 months after that I had my first appearance on YouTube, completely random. And that was on Neil, the 604 Atheist show. And
That
yeah,
was one of my first shows too.
was
So
it?
I have a
Yeah.
lot of questions. Yeah, I have a lot of
Yeah.
questions about your
Yeah.
upbringing, but since you already
For
brought it
sure.
up, let's talk about this.
Okay.
What got you into the atheist YouTube atmosphere?
So a family member of mine, she is also an atheist and she is an online atheist. And I had no idea because we used to go to church together. And I was watching a Seth Andrews episode because when you first come out of Christianity, at least for me, I was kind of binge watching as much content as I could to kind of deconstruct all the things I once knew about Christianity. And so Seth Andrews' book, Deconstructed, was one of the first books that I read, just based on the name. I didn't know who Seth Andrews was. I just saw the name or Deconverted, sorry. And I thought that sounds like a great book. I'm going to read it. And so I read it, found out he also had a podcast. So I started watching his podcast. And a couple months later, just as YouTube kind of shows one video after the next,
Mhm.
that auto play, his next video was an interview with a family member of mine. And I was shocked because we once went to church together not too long ago, like within the last like 6-7 years. And because of such a large family that we have, we hadn't talked in quite a while. And so he had interviewed her and she was now an atheist. And I was like, oh my God, like, wait, hold on. What is she doing on this, like, Thinking Atheist, one of the largest atheist platforms in the world? So I text messaged her and was like, you're on one of my favorite podcasts and I need to know your story. And she's like, wait, why are you watching The Thinking Atheist? You are like you're the last person I ever would have thought would find this content. And so her name is ex-Christian Erin. I'm sure a lot of people
Oh,
know
wait.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't she at Faithless Forum?
I don't know if she was, but
Unless I'm mixing up with someone else. I
she's
thought I met her at Faithless Forum. She's definitely been on my channel before.
okay. So she's one of the hosts on
Truth
Truth
Wanted?
Wanted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Same
And
person.
so yeah. So she tweeted, she's like, can I tweet about this and maybe tag you on Twitter when it was Twitter? And I said, yeah, for sure. she's like, okay, just so you know, you might get a lot of followers, you might get a lot of people messaging you. And sure enough, I did. And that's when Neil, the 604 atheist, said, hey, I loved having people come on and share their deconstruction and deconversion stories. And so I said, is he for real? Like, he wants to talk to me? Like, I'm just. And she's like, yeah, he's kind of like the uncle of the atheist community. He kind of like has everything.
He is, yes.
I was
That's
like,
a good way to put it.
yeah. So I did. And from there, I took it so seriously. I was like, okay, I like wrote it all out. I went shopping for a new outfit. I ordered a microphone. I was like, what do I got to do for this like interview? I felt like I was going to go on like CNN or something. And I was like, this is such a big deal, which it was. I mean, I'm not
absolutely.
it, but it was like such a big deal. And yeah, so I went on and I told my story, and I had lots of like family and friends watching from like in Canada, the States, Australia. And then I went to the after party and I met like student Dr. Ben, now Dr. Ben.
I love Dr. Ben.
Heathen Queen. Like, there were so many people at my after party that are now like
Heathen Queen too.
Yes, my friends. And that's what he does. Like, he has your show, and then he has the after parties so that you get to meet people in the community, which is amazing because like he connects you. So
he's good at what he does.
He's amazing at what he does. And I've got to spend time with him in person a few times now, and he's just wonderful. And actually we live kind of in the same area. So
wait, you're in Canada?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Neil, the 604 atheist, 604 is our area code. So
I figured that.
Yeah, and so my phone number starts with 604 as well. So anyways, it was really cool. And so after that show, that's when I started doing other shows, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And yeah, that's what happened.
Have you done any call-in shows yet?
I have, yeah.
What have you done, if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, so I've done shows on the line. I did my very first call-in show was with Jimmy Snow. I've done one with Matt Delahunty. I've done the Chewed Gum show with Eve Was Framed and Arden Hart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've also done Truth Wanted with ex-Christian Aaron, and then I've done a couple on Skeptic Haven. Yeah, so
isn't that Wes's? Wait,
yeah,
I might be mixing. Okay,
yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I did. I did have a show that was the Skeptic Haven was the first network that so I did my show with Neil in April of 2022. In August of 2022, Skeptic Haven asked me to become a regular host on their channel, and I did. I was a regular host there for quite. Oh, my mom also mentioned Dying Out Loud with Dave. Yeah, I also did that call-in show a few times.
Dave is the absolute. Have you ever met him?
I have. Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting him.
Where did you meet him at?
I met him in Nashville just this past fall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love him. He's a sweetheart. We've hung out a few times actually, and he's one of the genuinely nicest guys on the planet.
Yeah, I was really glad to meet him. Yeah, I've got to meet him. Actually, the 2024 is actually when I met a lot of people in person for the first time. So that was really lovely. Yeah. But yeah, so Skeptic Haven, they're the ones who kind of took me under their wing and gave me a show, and that was amazing. And then I did one with my mom, which we're kind of taking a break right now just because of a lot of life stuff. But yeah, it's been amazing. I kind of got thrown in, and I feel really lucky to have gotten to meet so many amazing people in this community and make so many great friends. So including really Arch Radish, who's in the chat. I got to meet him too. Hi, Chad.
So walk me through the journey of not just how you became an atheist, but how your mom as well became an atheist? Because I'm assuming,
Yeah.
based on our conversation, she was not an atheist to begin with either.
Yeah. So when I said the words out loud to uh the first time when I said, I don't think I believe in God, I was kind of like testing how that felt. And it wasn't to my mom. And once I said that, I was like, okay, now I need to tell my mom because my mom and I are the closest people in the entire world.
Aw.
And so I was like, hey, now I know this is like truly happening. I need to tell my mom. And so I asked her if she would go out for coffee with me because I'm like, okay, well, I know she's going to love me no matter what. Thankfully, I know that's not always the case for everyone, and that makes me really sad. But with me and my mom, I just knew like I could tell her anything and it would
That's
be
good.
okay.
That's a
But
good, sounds like a good relationship.
yeah, we have an amazing relationship. So when I asked her to go out for coffee with me, I was kind of like rambling and sort of beating around the bush and kind of like, okay, so I need to tell you something. I kind of have been like, like literally talking like that. And she's like, Stacie, would you just spit it out? And so I'm like, well, I don't think I believe in God anymore. And she's like, oh my God, that's it? And I was like, yeah, is like, are you shocked? And she's like, well, she's like, oh my God. She's like, I'm actually really relieved to hear that. Like, and then she shocked me because she's like, I have been struggling to believe in God for years, like decades. And I was like, wait, what? And so,
That must have been a
um,
shock.
yeah, I thought I was going to shock her, but she kind of turned it around and shocked me. And we were just sitting in this coffee shop and we were both just like, okay, what does this mean? Like, what? And she's like, yeah, since the time you were like 5 years old. And then she started telling me when she started having like her major doubts. But because she and I are so close, she didn't want to like, she had such a strong fear of hell and she was afraid of going to hell. And that's what really kept her from really like following through with those beliefs or like lack of belief. And so she also didn't want to like, if she was wrong, she didn't want to kind of like take me down with her because I
Right.
had such a strong belief in God. So she was kind of like, who do I tell this to? Because it was really scary for her. So when I
Mhm.
said to her, like, look, I'm out, like, I am so out. I do not believe in this anymore. Like, it's bullshit. She was just like, okay, if Stacie's out, then I can actually like be honest and say, I have struggled for years to believe, and now I can actually be honest. And so we were just kind of sitting there like, holy crap. Like, what?
That's
We were just in
amazing, though.
shock. Yeah. And so we were able to have this like super honest conversation. And it was like so therapeutic. And yeah, it just kind of like, it's still kind of like, I feel like it took her a while to, like, she was like, so you're an atheist, right? And I was a little nervous to say the words atheist. And I was like, I don't know. Am I? And she's like, but you said you don't believe. And I'm like, I know, but like atheist feels so scary.
It is. It's a scary
Yeah.
term.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. But then I had to like read more about it and be like, well, what does that word actually mean? And it's like, okay, it just means you don't believe in God. And I'm like, okay, well then yeah, I'm an atheist. So yeah, but it was a great conversation and it was a really great day. It literally felt like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. Like
Oh, that's
not just
amazing.
because I told her, but because like we both were just like, wow, the world to me at least just looked so much brighter. And
Mhm.
yeah, it was great. So
So
yeah.
what you said just kind of made me think of something. One of the reasons, this isn't the main reason, but one of the
Mhm.
reasons I like atheist activism is actually because of my mom. My mom is a Christian,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
one day she said to me, my brother passed away about a decade ago. So
Okay.
one day she said to me, she's just waiting around for her life to end so she
Mm.
could see my brother again.
Yeah.
And that broke my heart because,
Mhm.
for one, I want to be like, Mom, you have two sons who are living right now and here for you, and you're waiting to die just to see him again. So I have had so many conversations, but her and the rest of my family are kind of convinced that I truly believe in God. I just won't admit it.
Right.
So I'm very glad that you had your mom's support in that.
Thank you. And I'm really sorry that you had to hear that, because that would be really tough to hear. Here you have your mom who could be, obviously I would imagine it being really hard to lose a son, but at the same time she's waiting and not
Mhm.
enjoying what she has. And I was having this conversation with someone really important to me the other day about how, you know, I think as Christians, it was really nice to have heaven to look forward to, because you think you can spend that time with the ones you love. But then at the same time, it can kind of make you not realize what you have always right now in the here and now.
Exactly.
And I think that one of the hardest things for me, like a lot of people I know, it's the last thing that they sort of deconstruct is their fear of hell. For me, that was the first thing that I had to deconstruct in order to, like, investigate my beliefs fully, to be like, okay, because if I'm wrong, I thought I'm going to go to hell. So I need to know that there's no hell in
Right.
order for me to be wrong or to be right. But then when I realized, okay, there is no God, then I was like, oh, but then there's no heaven. And so this is literally, for me, this is the only life I'm guaranteed to have. And so that made it even
Exactly.
more precious. And
I've
all the
used those words
people,
literally. Sorry, I
yeah,
interrupted.
no, it's fine. But it just made, like, all the moments here just that much more special and
Mhm.
fragile. Because I mean, I appreciated this life that I have and the time that I have with the ones that I love, but it's like, when I was a Christian, I thought, well, yeah, I'm enjoying my life. I'm enjoying this time. But if anything were to happen, then yeah, I'll see them for eternity. I'll see them when I get to heaven. But now it's like, no, this is it. So let's just cherish every moment. So
Mhm. To
yeah,
me, the world became brighter when I
yeah,
became an atheist. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, it was scary. But as time went
yeah,
on, food tasted better, the colors were brighter. I
yeah,
appreciated the people in my life
hmm,
so much more. Um,
yeah,
and to be clear, I shouldn't associate that just to atheism, because
hmm,
atheism is only the lack of belief in God. There's
yeah,
plenty of atheists who believe in heaven or believe in an afterlife or
hmm,
believe in hell,
yeah,
which is confusing to me, because to me, if you
yeah.
believe in an afterlife, then you should believe in God.
Hmm.
Would you
That's a
agree with that?
supernatural to
Or
me. To
yeah,
me,
the
that's a
supernatural.
supernatural element. So yeah, I don't understand that way of thinking. To me, there's no heaven or hell. So I associate that with, like, a divine being.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
backtrack to where I wanted to start the show out at,
Yeah, for
tell
sure.
me a
Sorry.
little. No, no, don't apologize. This is an ADHD show, so it goes in a million places.
I'm
So
here
I
for
don't
it.
care where we land.
Okay.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your upbringing in specific to Christianity. What was that like?
Yeah, so it was, um Christianity for me was technically, like, non-denominational, if you're familiar with those
Mhm.
terms. But for those who aren't, it was sort of along the line of, like, a Pentecostal, charismatic type of churches. So,
Okay.
like, the raising of hands, the laying on of hands, speaking in tongues.
Oh, the
That,
tongues too?
yeah,
Did
oh
you ever
yeah.
do that?
Uh-huh.
No way. Okay. All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot right now.
Okay.
Would you speak in tongues for me right now?
I've done it for a super chat on our show. So if you have super chats and anyone wants to super chat, That would
So
be appreciated for him. But
I,
yes,
I
I will
hope
do
you don't
it.
mind swearing, but this is where I fucked up. I was
Oh,
monetized and
oh,
I took a year off and
oh,
then
okay.
I got demonetized because I
Oh,
went so long without doing a show.
so you don't have
And they
super
gave me a
chats.
30-day warning. They said, if you don't do a show within 30 days, we'll demonetize you. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll do a show right now. So I quickly reached out to one of my friends, scheduled a show, did it. And then it said you had 10 days left. And I'm like, wait, what? So I scheduled another show and I did that
Oh
one. And
no.
then like 2 weeks later, it says you have been demonetized due to inactivation. And I'm just
Oh
like,
my God.
for inactivity. I'm like, are you kidding me? I worked so hard for that monetization and it got ripped out from under my feet.
Well, that's dumb.
So I can't give you a super chat.
Well, I was doing it for you. I was saying
I
super chat for
appreciate that.
you. Okay. Well, thank you for the explanation. You know what? This is my offering.
Okay.
My tithe and my offering. Okay. I had a glass of wine before the show, so you're lucky. So here's my speaking in tongues. It has not changed at all. I have not lost it, even though I have no longer have the spirit of the living God in me. I'm no longer a temple. Okay, here we go. I have to like go like this so no one can
You look
see
so
me.
nervous.
Okay, even as a Christian, I never spoke in tongues in front of anyone because I was embarrassed by it. So now I'm doing it on the internet. Okay, ready? Here we go. Okay. Shandariyandara shandarama kundariyandara shandarama ki. Okay, there we're done.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Okay, so yeah, we
So,
spoke in tongues
okay,
just
continue.
like that. Okay. Yeah. And we did like we had prophets come from out of town and give prophecies. It was just kind of like, okay, so like Benny Hinn, you know, Benny Hinn from on
Oh
TV.
my God.
Yeah.
He's the guy that pushes everyone over, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
After this, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're
But
fine.
after this show, I'm gonna send you a DM with a
Hmm.
YouTube clip, and it's one
Okay.
of the funniest clips I've ever seen. And it's two guys making fun of. Have you heard of Mike Murdoch?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
it's two guys making fun of Mike Murdoch and Benny Hinn, and it's on
Okay.
2 minutes. Absolutely worth a watch. But
Okay.
yes,
Send it. Yes.
Benny Hinn is just. Oh,
He's
okay, go ahead.
yeah. So one of the churches that we attended for like a lot of my youth, um, Benny Hinn's brother, Henry Hinn, lived in Vancouver, British Columbia, where I'm from.
Okay.
And their church was sort of a split from Henry Hinn's church. So it was kind of like a Benny Hinn 3.0, if that makes sense. It was kind of like, yeah, it was very much like a Benny Hinn church. So like people falling over. There was a lady who every church service, like she would sound like she was like quacking like a duck, and there were like it was just really strange. Yeah, so my church time was strange, and like praise and worship would last sometimes like 2 hours because you would just
Oh.
you would let the spirit lead, like you don't quench the Holy Spirit, that kind of thing. And I just remember terms like you got to just like stay in the river, like let the river, which was the Holy Spirit, let the river just move. And yeah, anyways, it was really strange. Then when I became like a young adult, I started going to just like a church that was like every 75 minutes there was another service because it was like a mega church. And so it wasn't as like strange. It was just like 3 songs, a sermon, prayer, you're out. 3 songs, a sermon, a prayer, you're out. So
Okay.
which they believed in speaking in tongues, but they were like, please don't do it in the service. Do that in the comfort of your own home. We don't want to like, that's sort of like a private thing. And then right before I deconverted, I started like re-examining like all my beliefs. And I was thinking, I think this charismatic stuff is not necessarily biblical. Like, I don't know if this is really like true, or have we taken it out of context, that kind of thing. And so I started doing like a deep dive into all of my beliefs and just really seeing if it held up to scripture. And because I really wanted to believe what the Bible said. I really was
Right.
like searching the scriptures. And so because of that, I started really deconstructing my beliefs, and that got me into Calvinism, and I became a Reformed Christian for the last few years.
I've interviewed a couple
Mhm,
Calvinists, but could you
mhm.
kind of explain a little bit what Calvinism is?
So it so it was a very short stint in my Christian walk. Um, but they kind of follow like it's it's really religious. It's legalistic is what I would have called it when I was a charismatic Christian. It came from like Martin Luther and John Calvin.
Oh, okay.
When, yeah, so when they kind of like broke away, I think, from the Catholic Church, and Martin Luther nailed the 95 Thesis and to the Catholic Church, and then John Calvin, he came up with these things, and there's like the five sola,
What's a
I don't
sola?
know. Uh, Sola, it's Greek, or no, it's not Greek. It's been a long time. Um,
That's okay. Yeah, we can move on.
oh my gosh, no. Sola, it's Latin. That's what it is.
Okay.
Um, like faith. It's honestly, I'm kind of glad that it's sort of like faded from my memory, because it shows like it's been a long time. But Reformed Christianity is intense. So I'll just give you like a little bit of like the church that I joined,
Okay.
because so I joined a Reformed church. Reformed Calvinism is kind of like it's the same. And when I joined that church, I was kind of like, do I really want to join this church? Because like if you go to like a non-denominational church, if you miss a Sunday or two, like it's not a big deal, like
Right.
big whoop. If you miss a Sunday at a Reformed church, they have two services on Sundays, like a morning and an afternoon, and you're like expected to be at both of them,
Really?
and like you are expected. And I was kind of hesitant about that, but I really wanted to be in that church because they they really teach the Bible. Like they go like line by line, verse by verse, chapter by chapter. And I wanted to get like a really good theological teaching every week. And so that was important to me. But you have to take like this new members class. And then when you become a member, you have to go and stand before the whole church. It's like a marriage ceremony practically. They have you recite like these vows. And then if you kind of like defect at all, or you sin in any way, like they will call you out, and they will like
Like in
first
front of
they'll
the church?
first they'll call you out privately, and then if you don't repent, then they'll call you out in front of the church, and if you
Oh
still
my
don't
god.
repent, then they'll continue calling you out. So I
That's
was really
terrible.
I was nervous about just like not being able to go to every Sunday service twice. Um, but that didn't happen. I ended up becoming an atheist. And so when that happened, yeah, they ended up like excommunicating me and our family publicly in front of the whole church for
That's
8 months.
terrible.
Yeah. So they follow this like letter of the law from their doctrine, and it's just insane. So when I left like the Pentecostal church, didn't hear from anybody. Like not a word. Nobody cared. It wasn't a big deal. Um, yeah, there was no letter, there was no follow-up, there was no anything, nothing. But when you no longer attend, or you sin at this church, you are hounded, and you're first you're emailed, then you get a formal letter, and then if you still don't repent, then you're brought up in front of the entire church congregation many times with formal announcements again and again and again before they formally excommunicate you, which took about 8 months.
That
And
sounds like Scientology.
it was insane. So, yeah, it was brutal. And they mentioned even our children's names, but not because they were like necessarily excommunicating my children. They were just bringing them up in the fact that like, based on like poor parenting on my behalf, like as like a sinful mother, or what was the word they used? Not wretched, but wayward mother.
Okay.
So
I've not heard that term before.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was insane. So
you're glad to be out of it.
Oh yeah. Oh, but the funny thing is they're like, if you don't repent, like you will not be welcome to take the Lord's Supper, which is communion. And I was thinking, I'm an atheist. Like, what do I care about having communion? Like,
right.
That's not a big deal. You don't need to threaten me with like not pretending to eat and drink someone's body and blood. Like, so anyways, I have not looked back. And at the same time, while it was happening, because they were publicly calling me out while I was active on YouTube. And so I was mentioning it every opportunity I got. And I kept saying, they're only doing this because they want to keep everyone in the pews in line and use it as a scare tactic so that nobody there who's currently sitting there will want to do what I'm doing, question or fall out of line. Mm-hmm. So, and I still fully believe that because who wants to be called out in front of an entire group of people publicly for months and months and months? So,
yeah, of course.
So, and I knew that people were watching what I was saying, watching my content, watching my Instagram, and just being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like what she's doing. And I would never want to be called out like that. So I still stand by those words, and it is a fear tactic. So yeah.
All right. So
yeah. Anyways,
let me paint you a picture. You and I are walking down the street. We are doing, you know who Anthony Magnabosco is, right?
I do. He's wonderful. Yes.
Great people. So you and I are walking down the street. We've got a camera, and we start pulling street epistemology on some people. And the question comes to you, why are you an atheist? What reason would you give?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would give the fact that, okay, well, first of all, I didn't go looking, I didn't wake up one day and think, yeah, I think I'll try atheism. I started questioning my beliefs, and there wasn't enough evidence to hold up reasons for being a Christian. And I started seeing a lot of the same stories in the Old Testament as there were in other mythologies that even predated the Bible. Mm-hmm. And like literally that was it for me. I just thought, well, if there's one lie, or if there's the same story in the Bible as there is in like the Epic of Gilgamesh, that was it. I was like, God's supposed to be the truth. Well, then he wouldn't lie. He wouldn't, put two stories in two different mythologies. So that's when like the House of Cards fell for me. And I thought, well, then this is all made up. And so for me, that's when it all fell apart. Because I thought, well, God's not going to lie. And then I thought, well, then there is no God, because God's supposed to be true. So that's when I became an atheist. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can't start believing something that you just no longer believe in. I couldn't start believing in Santa.
No, it's not. Right? And I don't even consider when people say they lack belief in a God. I don't think, I was arguing with a friend the other day. He insists that the lack of belief in a God is belief in and of itself.
Right.
And I don't think that's the case. It's just
Yeah.
you don't believe.
Yeah. I just don't.
And
Yeah.
it's, and another person I was talking to said that, well, at what point did you choose to become an atheist? I didn't choose to become an atheist. It
No.
just, the evidence didn't match up. So I no longer believed. It's not
Yeah.
something, I can't choose to be a Christian tomorrow. Even if I
Yeah.
wanted to believe, I can't all of a sudden be like, yeah, I believe in God. It's just
Yeah.
not how it works.
Yeah. No, there's certain things you just cannot choose
Right.
at all. There's just certain things. And the moment that I like no longer believed, it wasn't like a conscious decision, like, okay, I'm choosing to no longer believe. It was just like poof, it was gone. And it was like a
Mhm.
punch in the gut. I was like, oh my gosh, in that moment, my whole life started to make way more sense with there not being a God
Mhm.
than there was with there being a God. I was like, wait, okay, now it makes sense. I was trying to like make something work with there not being one. Okay, now this makes sense. Like, yeah, it was just like such a weight was lifted, but I didn't choose to get rid of that weight. It was just like, it just was gone. And
Mhm.
I did not make that choice. It was like my
Right.
brain just went click.
Yep.
And
Same.
yeah, yeah. So,
So, do you often get challenged or like debating people when it comes to someone who is a believer and you yourself who is a non-believer?
do I like to debate?
Yes.
No.
Like, or have a conversation. We'll take the word debate out of that because that can be more intense. Do you like
Um,
any conversations with
okay.
believers on this topic?
That's a good question. So I've had one recent conversation um, with a stranger in person about a month and a half ago. He was a Christian and he asked, okay, so have you ever heard of these things? It's an app called Time Left. There's
I
these
have
dinners
not.
you can, okay, there's these dinners. My mom told me about it. Called Time Left. You can go and you can have dinner with 5 strangers and you just meet
Oh,
random
okay.
people. It's actually really cool. And so I've done them a couple times just to like meet people just
Is it an
randomly.
app?
It's an app, but you meet people in person for dinner. They set you up and you go to a restaurant, you meet people within your age group.
Wow,
And it's
that
super fun.
sounds so cool.
It's so fun. She
I
got me
am
onto
so
it.
gonna try that.
Yeah, you should. It's really cool.
That's
So
awesome.
you go, you have dinner on Wednesday night with people of your age group, and it's you and 5 strangers. So I was at this dinner, and the guy that I was sitting beside was like, so how did you meet your partner? And I was like, oh, and usually I'll say, are you like religious at all? And because I'll try to like preface it with that. And this time I went, oh, well, I used to be a Christian and he used to be a pastor. And we met at this conference and we just really hit it off and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, oh, wait, what? You used to be a Christian and he used to be a pastor? And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, I'm a Christian. And I was like, oh, sorry. Like, did I offend you? And he's like, no, I want to know more. Like, tell me more about that. And I was like, oh, okay. And so like we ended up talking for like an hour and he was really nice, but um he was just like really curious, like, well, how did you get to that decision? How did you get to that? And so it wasn't a debate, it was like a good back and forth. And so in that kind of conversation where they're genuinely asking questions and I can tell them, I don't mind that. I don't like when people are like trying to like fight me or trying to like, well, you're
Okay.
wrong, you're wrong. Because I said to him, I go, look, I totally get where you're coming from because it wasn't that long ago. I was sitting like in your seat and I know
Right.
you, like, I was once you. And so I can still think like, I know how he was feeling like, oh, this poor girl, like she's totally lost, right? Because he said like, oh, I'm probably going to go home and pray for you. And I go, yeah, I probably would have felt that same way. But we
Mhm.
had a really good like discourse and
Good.
um so in that kind of conversation, he's like, "You've given me a lot to think about. Like, I really appreciate it." And I said, "Oh, I'm glad." And but when they're genuinely wanting to like just ask you questions and talk, then like that's fine. But if they come at it combatively, well, then I'm just going to be like, well, I'm not a debater. I'm not someone who's going to like fight, because that, to me, that's exhausting. That's not my style at all. But if you just want to have a conversation and I can say, look, I totally understand where you're coming from because I was just there and I know what you're kind of thinking. Yeah, then I'll talk.
So how do you feel about debate shows when they get, not debate shows, call-in shows, when they get more intense and turn into a debate? Is that something
Yeah.
you shy away from? Do you try and talk the person down a little bit and bring it down to a level of more of a conversation? Or how do you address that?
Thankfully, the call-in shows I've done haven't been like too debatey, if that's a word. Because I'm not that way.
Same.
I've enjoyed the ones like with Dave Warnock, like dying out loud. Like that was a real, although we did have a really crazy caller on that one who was just an asshole.
That happens.
Jared from Kentucky, if anyone remembers him.
He can't possibly be worse than Darth Dawkins.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh.
You never want to talk to him. Trust me.
Oh, okay. Well, he was like one of
pretty
those.
Vicious.
Like,
I had do you know who Kenneth Leonard is?
I've heard of him.
Okay. He's from AXP. I had Kenneth Leonard on and Arden Hart on, and he called in, and within 10 seconds of the call, he goes, "Well, I don't want to speak to the tranny." And immediately I was producing, I wasn't on camera. Immediately I jumped on camera. I said, "You're not going to talk to my co-host like that," and I kicked him right off the show.
Good.
But Arden, to her credit, was like, "You didn't have to do that. I'll talk to him. Call back in." So I backed down. I let him call back in, and they continued their conversation. But he is a fucking asshole, man.
Arden's amazing. Like
She's great.
I love doing shows with Arden because I think when I have someone kind of strong like Arden, I love doing Chewed Gum with Arden. We've done it a couple times, and like I feel like that was one of my favorite shows, doing it with her. Just we were really strong together. Because yeah, she would handle them really well, and I'd kind of like put my 2 cents in and then be like, yeah. But and then when I the last show I did on Skeptic Haven, we had kind of like a jerky caller call in, but I feel like I handled that person pretty well. When I need to, I can. But you know, if you have shows with like Jimmy and Matt, they have some pretty crazy callers. I couldn't handle those people all the time. Like, but then again, like watching them, they just go at them. Like, I think they're just like, yeah, let's take them, right? Whereas I probably wouldn't have the patience to have an hour-long conversation or
no, it takes a lot of patience to do that with people.
Yeah. So it would just depend. But I don't know. It's not in me to just, I felt like as a Christian, I was always kind of like ramped up, ready to go. I was always kind of like angry about something. And now I just feel like, you know what? There's still things to be angry about. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of injustice and stuff. Not that I'm like, oh, whatever, and I just like back down. I still have that like fire in me, but just to fight about like if God's real or not, no, I don't have that in me. I'd rather fight about like human rights things and fight for those types of injustices rather than if God's real or not. I don't care if someone doesn't believe, as long as those aren't affecting, you know, like if other people's, you know, human rights. But if they just don't want to believe, okay, fine. But just keep that to yourself.
Right.
So
where do you fall on the political spectrum?
Oh, yeah. So I've gone from being like super as far wait, this is my right. Super far right. Well, this is probably right for you. I don't know. Super far right conservative. Like I was thinking about this today because right now I'm in the US visiting and staying for a little while. So my
Oh,
Facebook
where at?
is
Never mind. Don't answer that question.
okay. But you might be able to tell from my background for those who are paying attention. But yeah, so my Facebook, because I'm in the US, it, location services, it's like, oh, you're in the US. Here, let's push this to you. It was giving me something to do with Planned Parenthood, like, oh, go for a walk for Planned Parenthood. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Sorry, can I swear?
You can swear.
Okay, so I was like, yeah, I'll walk for Planned Parenthood. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so the opposite than what I would have done years ago, because I would have done the complete opposite. I would have been like, let's go march for anything to do pro-life. Like I was a staunch advocate for pro-life, but now I think like I've just changed. So as far as like politically, I've gone from being like super far right conservative to like really like deconstructing everything I once believed in, like Christianity, not just my Christian views, but like my worldviews, my politics, my everything, and just being like, okay, I need to reevaluate everything. And so, yeah, I definitely am way more left, and I don't want to go from one extreme to the complete other. I want to stay kind of like just, level-headed. But yeah, I'm definitely left, and I would be voting liberal because I'm Canadian, so it's the Liberal Party. But if I was American, I would be voting Democrat. So
throughout this entire interview, I don't think anyone would know you were Canadian until I heard you say one word.
What word?
A
Did
boat.
I say that?
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. Really? Okay.
Yep. Right when I heard that, I'm like, yep, that's a Canadian.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I said that.
Yeah.
It's funny. I always thought I said about.
A boat.
Okay. Well, I guess that gave me away. Yeah, no, I'm from the West Coast. I'm from Vancouver.
Okay.
But I guess it kind of sneaks in there every once in a while.
I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Well, the
Oh,
suburbs
are
of
you?
Chicago.
Okay.
Yes. Been here mostly my whole life.
Oh, nice. I am really excited to visit Chicago, hopefully next year.
Well, if you come out, hit me up. I'll take you some of the my girlfriend and I can take you to some of the best restaurants in the city or best places to visit.
I will definitely will do that.
Okay, so I had a question about your background, but so are you I was thinking you were a movie buff. My background sucks, by the way, because I moved in with my girlfriend and I haven't finished setting up my studio. But I was thinking you were a movie buff because of yours. Not at all. Oh man,
I enjoy
excited about that.
So this background is these are my partner's favorite movies of all time. And so
I see that's Back to the Future, right?
the
second one to the right.
Yeah, Back to the Future.
Yeah. One of
Driver, Awkward. Yeah, sorry, go on.
One of the greatest trilogies of all time.
Yeah, I did enjoy it when I was younger. We are I've watched a few of them, but we're kind of making our way through some of them. So yeah.
All right. So what is your favorite movie then?
Oh man, everyone asks. Yeah, I'm like, actually, you know what? It's always kind of like what's the most recent movie I watched that I love the most. That's kind of what my most favorite movie is. I don't know if I have like an all-time favorite, but I'll say the movie that I just watched that like resonated with me the most, that I was just like bawling in, was I finally, for the first time, watched the recent A Star Is Born with Lady Gaga. And
I haven't seen that.
Okay, I wanted to watch it for years, and I know the entire soundtrack because I love all the music, but I finally watched it just a couple weeks ago, and it's amazing. And yeah, it's incredible. So highly recommend.
Did you by chance see Lady Gaga in Joker 2?
No.
Oh,
No,
did you see the original Joker?
no.
Oh,
I'm not really into I'm not into like superhero movies or anything.
that's
But
what my girlfriend says, but it's not a
is
superhero
there?
movie.
Oh, okay, okay.
Joker is a mental health movie.
Oh, well then I'd
Oh,
probably
yeah.
like it.
It follows a guy who is severely mentally ill with a real life condition, and I can't remember the name of it. It's a condition
Okay.
where you end up just randomly laughing extremely hard,
Oh,
and you can laugh so hard you start choking and not being able to breathe. And it's a response from stress. So the more stress they get, the harder they start laughing. So they could literally be in the middle of an argument with someone, and then all of a sudden they just burst into laughter and they can't stop.
oh
So
wow.
yeah, it's intense. So like what he does in the movie is he carries this business card around with him that says,
Mhm.
"I'm sorry, I have such and such condition. If I burst into laughter, something like this, I'm not quoting it verbatim, please
Yeah,
don't be upset." And when he'd start laughing and people would look at him like he's crazy, he'd hand him the card. And
right,
just as the movie goes on, you see how mentally unstable he becomes.
right.
And then in part two, it's a musical with Lady Gaga.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
So it's not nearly the first one is a masterpiece, but it is
Okay.
not a superhero movie. So if
Okay.
you like, it's not a psychological thriller. Anyways, I'm going off on tangents
Yeah,
about
no, it's
movies.
okay.
That's what always happens. Um,
Well, this was distracting.
yes, it was. It's been distracting me the entire
I'm
show.
so
I've been like,
sorry.
sitting here antsy, like, okay,
You're like, what movies
gonna ask
have
her
you?
about Pulp Fiction? Am I gonna ask her about Jaws?
I've never seen Pulp Fiction for the record.
What? What? Okay, come on. That's your homework for today.
Okay.
You have to watch Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I know. I do need to watch that one. I just watched Boogie Nights. That was a good
That
one.
one's interesting.
Yeah,
It's a good movie, but
yeah,
it's interesting. I'll just say
yeah,
that.
yeah. I liked it. Yeah, that's so
So
funny.
anyways,
Mhm.
it's been great sitting
Yeah,
down with you. Where can people
yeah.
find you at?
Oh, so you can find me. So you can add me on Facebook or follow me. You have that option too, Stacie Grahn. You can follow me on Instagram under apostasy. And then also at the end of March, on the 31st, I believe, Secular Rarity is hosting a big fundraiser, huge fundraiser that I will be on, and I'm super excited about that. So, yeah, the name of his, you are producing it, correct?
Yes, I'm producing it.
Yeah,
Secular Rising. Because
yeah, Secular Rising.
yeah, I hosted, I don't know if you ever heard of them. I hosted two fundraisers for Recovering from Religion. And my goal was to make it the
Oh,
largest atheist podcast in history. And I was successful. I had 36 YouTubers on over a 4 hour period. And it was
oh
a
my gosh.
fucking kick ass show. So we had
Okay.
everyone set. I can't even remember all the names, but Seth Andrews was on, Secular Rarity was on, Ex Christian Aaron was on. The list
Okay.
just goes on and on. It was a
Yeah.
fun show. So yeah, this
Awesome.
time I'll be producing it. Very excited to see what all he's going to do with his new
Yeah.
nonprofit organization.
I'm honestly so excited that he asked me to be a part of that, and with like such a great crew of people. So
Oh, it's a great
Um,
lineup.
it's a huge lineup, huge
Hmm.
lineup. So yeah, so I'll be on there from Mexico. So hopefully Wi-Fi is good. Yeah, so we'll be there. And yeah. Oh, someone is asking, have you seen The Princess Bride? If you haven't, you got to put that on your list. Okay, I've seen that movie like 5,000 times when I was like 5 years old because it was my uncle's favorite movie. And yeah.
It's a good movie.
I should watch it as an adult though, because when I was a kid, I found it strange. But I
Well,
do
yeah,
want to
watch
watch
it
it.
as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Stacie, thank you
Okay.
for coming
Sorry.
on. No, you're fine. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out and sit down with me. To all my patrons, thank you so
Yeah.
much for your support. I appreciate you continuing to support me throughout my entire hiatus, which was over a year. If you have any recommendations, once again, on people you want me to interview, send me a message on Facebook or comment on my Patreon. Stacie, thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Good night, everyone.
Bye.